wish upon a star.
Why is 11:11 the wish time? Why isn't 12:12? Why can't it
That's
be?
a very good question. I don't think I know that answer. I can make it up that it's a bunch of ones and it's some star number or like some kind of, retrograde idea. I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess 11 ones, 4 ones is interesting.
I think sometimes I look at the clock and it always is 11:11.
Oh yes, that's what people
I think that's what gets people going. They're like, oh, I need to.
Yeah.
If anything, it just keeps you mindful,
Or is it just notable because it's like, oh, that's for like what if it's like, oh, every time you look at the clock, it's 4:17. It's just not a memorable number. I feel like if we're talking science, which we are here on podcast Hail Mary, then I wonder if that's what's going on there. Anyway,
I don't know. Well, time is a construct.
Sure is.
And we'll find out more in this book. I think that's where we're going, especially with interstellar travel.
Right.
Time travel for me, I don't know, you can tell me what your thoughts are on time travel, but time travel is like really, you have to like make a really compelling story to make time travel movies work.
Yes.
And usually I'm like, I can't do it. Have you ever seen Looper?
Love Looper, of course. Yeah.
I can't.
You don't like Looper?
It was just so annoying with the time travel.
Oh, why?
I don't know. It just didn't make sense, and I guess I just was like, I needed to make sense. But again, interstellar travel is kind of mind-boggling, and there's only really 5% of things that we can see that we discussed in chapter 2. I think
right.
Matter. There's so much antimatter. There's so many things we don't know.
Yeah,
so I need to let it go that I can't explain time travel.
Yeah.
But Interstellar, the movie, actually was one of the better time travel movies that I've seen.
For sure.
Executed. So
there was some stuff in there that was like, I guess, like the more realistic concepts. Not that time travel is real as far as we know, but like it definitely took kind of like like there's fun things about time travel that don't make any sense, like in movies and television, right? Like TIMECOP, for example.
Oh my God,
if you touch your person in like the you in another time, you both die, I think is the rule there. And it's like,
honestly,
that doesn't
need to
make
put that on my list to rewatch.
Oh yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme's TIMECOP.
Oh my God.
Anyway, here we are. It's chapter 4. Yeah.
Chapter 4. Right on. Well, thanks for having me back again.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me
I'm the
back.
co-host. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't have to thank you for shit.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So we're talking about, for those who haven't listened to the last 3 episodes, we're talking about Project Hail Mary, the book from Andy Weir, and also leading up to watching the film together.
It's all coming up to March 20th release of Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling. And we're going to talk, we spoiled the trailer as well. Is there only one trailer out?
There's 2 trailers, and our plan is to do an episode where we talk about the trailer and break it down. And I'm sure it'll be hilarious because Matt has a really big problem with trailers. So it'll be.
I haven't seen it yet. I still have not seen either trailer.
It does spoil a lot, which is annoying because I haven't read the book in full yet. You've listened to the audiobook. And I'm excited to see, if I didn't see the trailer, I would be more shocked at what I saw in the trailer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the book. And I'm like kind of bummed about that.
For sure.
But like I said before, trailers are actually great. Spoilers are great. They can be great because it gets people excited about seeing something or reading something. Yeah,
we got to market films, of course.
Yeah. And anyway, so I'm really enjoying the book so far. Let's go into chapter 4, shall we?
Let's do it.
So at the end of chapter 3, we find out he's in a different solar system entirely. He's interstellar travel, and he is panicking, to say the least, at the beginning of chapter 4, which I have called because it doesn't have a name.
What's your title?
Astrophage. It's super creative,
nice.
Really, So basically, he's in a new solar system. He's panicking. He's in the control room. He sees a bunch of screens that he doesn't know anything about.
Right.
One of them says astrophage, and he gets really interested in that. He's like, what does that all mean? And some of the fuel tanks have astrophage written on it, and it says 0 kg. And we're like, okay, well, there's obviously nothing in that one. But then there's another fuel tank that says 20,000 kilograms of astrophage in that fuel tank. So he's disseminating that it's probably propulsion fuel in the ship that he's in, which is the alien life form that they found on this Petrova line is now being used to power the ship.
Right.
Kind of cool.
Yes.
So basically, he has a memory, and he goes back to the lab that they built for him, and he finds out more sciencey things like it doesn't change temperature from 96.415 degrees, which is the boiling point of water.
Right.
Why is that? All these questions. He's feeling like a guinea pig, and he's like, why isn't more scientific community people coming together to figure this thing out? And Eva's just like, Eva Stratt, who we met last episode, is like, I don't want anyone else to be involved in this quite yet. But he's pissed. But still really, I'm sure he's still super excited about being part of this deep down.
For sure.
But he has a terrible realization through the scientific stuff, which I can find in the book. But he finds out that they are actually water-based organisms.
Yes,
and
this is a downer.
Very sad moment where he's like, "I was wrong.
Right.
I cannot believe it."
And it doesn't mean that he's wrong, by the way. I think, as I recall,
are you giving away some?
No, I'm not. This is his access point to being a part of the project. But just because this organism needs water to exist doesn't mean other organisms couldn't exist without water. But they do sort of play it in the book like, okay, well, I'm a failure because I'm wrong. But just because one doesn't. This is science 101. This is how we that doesn't prove that all organisms in existence couldn't somehow.
I mean, there definitely could be.
But again, he is pretty choked that the reason he's been brought in, he's proved himself wrong in a way.
Exactly. So basically, he's super bummed that he finds out he was wrong.
Yeah.
And then we go back to real time, and he remembers his crew. I forget what the exact realization is, but he has a.
Well, even he doesn't know
their names, which I wrote down here as. Excuse me if I get pronunciations wrong, but Yao and Leia. And he sends them out the airlock to give them a proper burial, which is quite nice. So there's a nice moment where he's like really down. He has this realization moment. We're back out of the memory. He goes to the storage, and he has this moment where he sends his crew out into the airlock, which is, I think, a nice moment, especially because I'm sure that will come later. One of my predictions is that we'll know about who they are a little bit later in the book.
Right.
And then he's back in class. We have another memory. God, there's a lot of linear memory moments. But there's a really big moment I want to read.
Oh yeah.
That I thought was really cool.
We need like a jingle for this moment, like when you grab the book and read from the book. Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Okay, let's see if I can find this here.
Bing bong bong.
His kids are asking about the astrophage, and they're really getting into the details of it, right? Like what's going to happen? What's the problem?
Right.
And he's like, well, it's algae. It's growing on the sun, and it's going to hurt the earth and the people who live here.
Right.
And so they say, it's like algae growing on the sun. And so the thing is, astrophage is starting to absorb a lot of the sun's energy. Well, not a lot, just a tiny percentage, but that means Earth gets a tiny bit less sunlight, and that can cause real problems. So they're asking really great questions like, so it'll be a little bit colder. What's the big deal? My dad says it's not a big deal, which I think is interesting because we're, climate change is a big conversation these days.
For sure.
And how much will it change? And basically he has a moment where he says that the temperature decrease could result in like a 10 to 15 degree decrease, which affects animals, which affects ocean waters. They cool, and the food chain will collapse, and crops will fail.
Yes.
And they're like, when's this going to happen? And he says, in the next 30 years.
Right.
And so he has a moment where I read that moment. I can't find it fully, but he has this realization that these kids are going to be his age or a little bit older than him when they're
really getting hit with the worst of it.
The worst of it's going to be happening. Yeah. So he leaves class. He has a moment where he's just like, I can't deal with this right now. I need to save these kids.
What about the part where the students are like, that's years away. I'm not worried about that. They have a moment which is so true and so human.
Yeah, and so human. That's exactly right. And so, but he can't take it. He's having I call it the come to Jesus moment where he's like, I have to go and get back on this project. I don't think I mentioned it, but he basically was thrown off the project by the team because he just felt defeated and he didn't have the right skills anymore. So
because of the water thing? Is that why he did that?
Because of the water thing.
Right. Because
yeah, exactly. So he speeds to the lab. He talks to Eva Strat, and he's like, "You got to give me some," because she tells him that they're going to 30 labs across the
she's got
globe.
A very small amount of astrophage that she's giving to a bunch of scientists all over the world.
Exactly.
He wants to be one.
So he gets 3.
Right.
He's given 3.
Yeah.
And so then we come back. We're back in the spaceship. We're in a moment where he realizes he's on a one-way ticket and that there's not enough fuel. So he's doing the math and he realizes, shit, I only have 40 days max left with the astrophage in the fuel tank. And so he's kind of like having a moment where he's like, I'm going to die here. But he also discovers the Beatles. Remember this?
Yes. I was going to,
Again, another older reference, which is, it's like, what time is this? And like, he sounds like he's like 70 years old when he's talking.
Right.
The Beatles, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, which is hilarious because at the beginning it says it's dedicated to the Beatles.
Yes.
I was like, okay, so this must be important. And they're unmanned hard drives that are like spaceship hard drives that carry information back to Earth.
Right.
So at this point, he knows he will have his life end in space, and then we're done. Chapter 4 ended. So he's kind of like, every episode seems to end with some kind of dire statement.
Yeah. So I was waiting to bring up the Beatles because you early on, maybe it was episode 1 of our show, brought up a device that goes and collects information. What was it called? Something that we use in the real world. CubeSats. Yeah. Thanks, Parth. Parth chime in. We got to get you a mic, Parth.
Yeah, we do actually. Good idea.
CubeSat. So I almost brought up the Beatles then because I was like, oh, this sounds like kind of the reverse version of that. Or maybe, like, how do we recover a CubeSat?
It's basically a CubeSat.
It is, okay.
CubeSats go up and they collect data, and then when their life cycle ends, they fall back to Earth.
Cool.
So it's not necessarily like you have to recover it because
it's transmitting data.
There's like a transmitter on the CubeSat. I don't know what it's technically called. Someone could correct me, but it's definitely something that collects data and then reports it back.
Cool. So are you saying there are CubeSats all over the world that have fallen to Earth and we could just find them ourselves?
Yeah.
Or did they?
That happens like it lands in farmers' fields and they're like, what the fuck? Jesus Christ, the space community just likes to litter everywhere.
Just littering all over the Earth.
Or it becomes part of the space junk conversation, which is a whole other thing we can talk about another time.
Oh, yeah. So the Beatles are... What do you know about the Beatles? I don't want to spoil.
Really, they just, or like the actual.
They have a hard drive.
Beatles?
Well, no.
Well, let me tell you,
Ringo wasn't really there at first. But yeah. So what do you know about, like, you know that they have a hard drive?
That's all I know. Like they introduce it at the end of chapter 4.
Okay.
And they have the hard drive on this unmanned.
Oh shit! Maybe I've spoiled stuff already.
Yeah, you might have. Like, why? I know that they're important.
All right.
Obviously, they're dedicated in the book.
My bad. So great.
Yeah.
Great. So what was your favorite moment in this episode?
Oh, you know what? I have it right here.
Another clip.
So basically, he's doing a bunch of tests. He's throwing a bunch of lights at these things, X-rays, microwaves, and he called it one of the tests the Bruce Banner test.
Right. Yes.
And he felt good about that name. Anyway, even gamma couldn't penetrate these little
rays.
bastards, which is like shooting a .50 caliber round. How do you say that?
Caliber, yeah.
But
0.50. I think you're right. Yeah, 0.50. Yeah.
Anyway, even gamma couldn't penetrate the little bastards, which is like shooting a .50 caliber round at a sheet of paper and having it bounce off. So like I kind of love that type of writing.
That's a great way
to, because like dum-dums like me
for me too.
Like a simile or a metaphor or some type of real world connection.
Yeah, just like in The Martian, right? Like Andy has to. That's his job here, is to take real science and find a way to get us laymen's, not dummies, but laymen's who don't understand necessarily.
Isn't layman like another word for dummy?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Lame.
It's a kind science. And? Lame is in there. Yeah. And that's what he does really well. I think he does it throughout this book, throughout The Martian. Good way of like, he's very talented at translating those complex ideas.
I totally agree with you. But he still has those complex ideas, so it'll still appeal to, the nerd or the sci-fi. And I say it with love, guys. Nerds are the best.
100%. Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
Oh, okay. So we talked last episode about the refusal of the call, like not really wanting to be a part of this, and who are you, and now they did a great. It's always so hard as a writer, I think, to find a way to really convincingly get your character to change their mind, right? That's what's got to happen. The character has to go from I'm absolutely never doing that to like I must do this.
Yeah.
And the kids are a great way to do that, right? That realization moment of like I got to do this for them because this is their future, and it's not abstract. Here they are in front of me, right? Like I think that's a big challenge in our industry, in our world, that like it's so easy to say, well, I'm not gonna donate to that, or like whether it's so many challenges we face in society, from drug addiction to homelessness, all sorts of things. If we're not seeing it, if it's not in front of us, it's much easier for us to ignore it, right, and not do anything about it. This was him being face to face with the very kids who are going to be in their 30s and 40s, prime of their lives, and the world will be in shambles at that time, and he knows it. Really strong way of doing that, I think.
Really strong way, and you're right. Teachers are so valuable, and
for sure, yeah.
And kids, like the relationship between what the reality is and the direness of it doesn't really hit when you're 13.
Totally, yeah.
You're like, well, whatever. Everyone's still alive, so it should be fine.
Right.
Yeah, which I really like. I like this episode a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have much more of a prediction. Just seeing, where he goes with this experiment with these 3 astrophage, and what he finds out about it, and obviously he becomes a major part of it, because why is he in this spaceship in Interstellar on the only survivor on the spaceship?
For sure. So
he must be a big part of it. I'm curious to know, what he finds in this solar system. So I'm super pumped. I'm super interested in all of that. So I have nothing else to say. I didn't really have any other. I didn't have a moment where I looked at any scientific things to.
Fair enough. But there's so much packed into every chapter. It's crazy to me. I had like when I'm listening to the book, it just all rolls into. I don't really pay attention where the chapter breaks are. It's interesting to frame it this way to see how much Andy really packs into each chapter, and again how quickly the book really moves. So I'm excited. Chapter 5 coming up.
Me too.
Tell us about you. Where can people find out more about you?
People can find me on Instagram at Romantic Circles and TikTok, where I talk about all the things that I'm up to these days, whether it's the podcast or short films or art projects, or this amazing podcast with you. So awesome. I'm looking forward to putting exclusive content on there so that people who follow us are entertained. Are you not entertained?
That's the goal.
How can people find you?
I'm on pretty much everything at Matt Watterworth, and I would encourage you to check out, if you haven't seen the show Pluribus. I did a podcast with Victoria Givlin all about Pluribus. We call it Pluripod.
Another great show.
We actually have not yet recorded our last episode, so we're trying to put that out soon here. That's you can find everything about me on Instagram, usually at Matt Watterworth.
Just do a Google.
Just do a quick Google search. We
both have super unique names. Do you have another Matt Watterworth in the world?
There is one in the UK. Yeah.
So we have to murder him.
We must, yeah.
Sorry.
Like in TIMECOP. We got to, I'll touch him.
Exactly.
Look at that bookend. That's a
just
perfect way to end it.
On the Project Hail Mary.
That's right, yeah.
And
all right, thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye.
Bye from No Cap Content Podcast Studios.